Hey, everybody, welcome to another Bad Call, the podcast that proves the refs aren't the only ones who get it wrong. It is Monday, October 14th. Let me double check that date. My dates are all running together.
Columbus Day.
We got ourselves an interesting one going on between the Bills and the Jets. Hail Mary to end the half. Alan Lazard, freaking Aaron Rodgers, somehow does it all the time. But more importantly, we have a Bears win to talk about this week, buddy.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's not dance around it. Let's get right into it. We start off with Tales of a Degenerate. So let's see if you got any good news for us to really pump us up before the Bears game.
It was a little bit better week. I went 4-1 overall in my super contest picks. The only one I missed was the Titans +1. And when I picked that, I had the feeling that Richardson was going to be starting at quarterback. So kind of probably would have, if I knew Flacco was starting, I would have picked a different game or a different outcome of that game.
That's crazy how much that changes it. Just Flacco to Richardson, and you go, oh, okay, never mind. I don't like that one anymore.
But road favorites this week are 8-0, and I believe that if the Bills win tonight, they are going to finish that off and kill Las Vegas. This will be their worst week possibly ever. It's never happened where all the road favorites win. So it's pretty crazy.
Sorry about that.
Then in my 4 to score, I hit 2 out of 4 again. I hit on Terry McLaurin +155 anytime, Drake London +120 anytime. Missed on Mike Evans +125, and Josh Jacobs -110. For all the scoring that Green Bay did, they just wouldn't hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs much at all yesterday. And Mike Evans was banged up a little bit in the game, came back, but the Buccaneers put up 51, and for Evans to not score, that is pretty wild.
Yeah, they all went to wide receiver 2 and running back 3.
Yeah. So,
as a Bucky Irving fantasy football owner, that was a little frustrating to watch.
But didn't he still have like 100 in a touchdown?
Yeah, but Sean Tucker had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and a lot of yards. He was a millionaire maker winner in DraftKings yesterday.
Yeah, I'm sure
0.4% ownership or something crazy like that.
Ridiculous. But
I had a pretty good DFS lineup yesterday too. Just maybe 1 or 2 spots would have really put into the money, but did well enough, so not going to complain.
All right. Yeah, you had a good day. So, speaking of good days, Bears, they go to London and they defeat the Jags. Excuse me, I apologize. It's allergies, man. They go to London and beat the Jaguars 35-16. We did have some concerns after the first couple of drives, but the Jags had a streak going of giving up a TD on the opening drive. I think it was like a 4-game streak or something like that. The Bears broke that one. And then they almost break the streak on the other side. The Jags hadn't scored on their opening drive, or scored a touchdown on their opening drive. And the Bears almost gave that up and said they give up a field goal. But luckily, after that, it was all Chicago. All Chicago.
The first Jags had
2
multiple,
drives.
10-play-plus drives where they didn't score touchdowns, which is pretty insane.
Yeah. Which kind of leads to our defense to be in the way that it is. They let you roam free basically between the 20s, until they decide to start taking the ball away.
Yeah.
Let's jump right in. How'd you feel about the play calling? Because that's been one of those hot button issues.
Yeah. For some reason, like early in the game, it just feels like they're not clicking like right out of the gate. I'm not sure, what that is. They've had 3 and out on the first drive for the last 2 weeks, and this past week they also, the second drive was 5 and out, and we've got the note in here about the scripting. We talked about it a little bit last week, I think, where the players came together.
Yeah, so story
Waldron.
broke out that essentially they weren't using what is called the first 15, right? Like a lot of teams have scripted plays for first 10 to 25, hot calls, priority sheet, first 15, whatever you want to call it. And the Bears weren't using one. This got a lot of people up in arms. The players had a meeting with Waldron, and supposedly that's changed over the last 3 weeks at this point in time.
I think it's the last 2 games.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's odd. It's strange. I know it fired you up a little bit. Fired Nat up a little bit. I found it odd, but it wasn't like a panic thing for me like it was for everybody else. I think it kind of got misconstrued that because he didn't have a first 15, there wasn't a game plan. And they just
Only
walked
a
in and were like,
concept
well,
of a
let's see what
plan.
happens. What's that?
Only a concept of a plan.
I mean, he's got priority plays, and it's not like they didn't practice plays or whatever. But here's my thing. So they started doing this. I'm going to jump down to our efficiency across quarters note here. It hasn't changed anything the last 2 weeks as far as how effective they are in the first quarter anyway.
Perhaps he needs a lesson on how to do it and implement it, because it's not, this is used everywhere. Like there's a reason it's used, because it helps the offense get out in plays that they're familiar with, how they really know how to run successfully and execute successfully. It helps the offensive line, and it's not a manuscript where we do this on the first, this exact play, this exact play, this exact play. It's a framework of plays, like a Venn diagram, or not a Venn diagram, but like a fishbone diagram. Where no, you do this. Oh, you come off this way, this way, this way. Sorry, I'm getting into the stupid management type BS that I have to look at all the time. But
no, I get it. It's just the Venn diagram threw under for me. I'm like, I don't
yeah,
think
that was
the wrong one you want.
That was the wrong.
I don't know. Maybe that's what his call sheet looked like beforehand. I don't know, but
could be.
I still, like, he had priority plays in there, I'm sure. I found, like I said, I found it odd. I just didn't get that up in arms over it. And let's say it's been the last 2 games, it really hasn't changed anything for the first quarter anyway. So,
well, I mean, in the first couple of games,
there.
they did have opening drive, field goals, whatnot. I'm just wondering if he he just hasn't figured out how you're really supposed to implement it.
I'd be curious to go back and find out.
It could just be, it's a 2-week sample. That's not really a good sample size. Let's see how we go moving forward through the bye.
I mean, there's so many factors that go into it. I mean, you're talking about 6 weeks so far, a rookie QB, and an offensive line that was like a turnstile for the first, 4.5 games. Like, there's so many factors that go into it. I'd be really curious to go back and find out, like, was he doing a first 15 in Seattle? Did he do one with the Rams, which I'm sure that he did under McVay? Like, I'm sure he's done it before. It's just kind of odd that he didn't do it. Anyway, speaking about that offensive line, let's talk about that. So it looks like Nate Davis has been flat out demoted, right? They're just like, we're done with this experiment. We'll pay you to sit on the bench and be emergency depth or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've taken the turnstile off of the field, which to me is
one of them.
You've seen Matt Pryor get on the field and be successful, so let's go with him. Let's go with Tevin Jenkins at the guard positions. It's kind of helped out, I think, the tackles a little bit as well. Not only that, it's time together, right? More reps together, better continuity. It goes back to my distaste for the way Matt Eberflus and a lot of the league like to treat the preseason like we can't use these situations to use our guys. That's what it's for. And I think you're really seeing the effects of it as this week the offenses across the league really started taking off. You had a lot of teams that scored more than 30 points. It's because they have now gelled and they're getting into stride with what they're doing. If they would utilize those preseason games a little bit more, we could see that earlier in the season.
I don't know. This goes back again, and that's going to be that's a whole nother topic of preseason reps versus not. But it goes back to how we've talked about before, like the first 1 to 3 weeks now since they've shortened the preseason have almost become extended preseason as these first team guys figured out and all that stuff. But again, another topic for another time. Our offensive line here, do we feel like it's actually getting better, or is this more of false hope based on quality of opponent that we faced the last 3 weeks? Because don't get it twisted, like the last 3 teams we faced have not been good defensively.
No, and I've got some notes on some of that stuff that we get to later, but absolutely the quality of opponent, but I think the reps together, more time on the field, like I said, they're starting to get into actual season form. You can only play who's across the field from you. You don't get to pick. And so, no, I mean, I think that the opponent, it does matter, but I'm not. I think if you see what's coming up, we shouldn't be too worried about it yet.
This sounds like so much a coach answer. You danced around the question enough, and just very lightly sprinkled in some stuff that we needed there. I totally agree that the reps are important. I'm hesitant to say, hey, we've actually gotten better. The thing that has helped, I will say this, that has helped the line out quite a bit. Caleb Williams is getting rid of the ball quicker. He's making much faster decisions, which has taken a lot of pressure off that offensive line. So if we can keep that up, I think we'll be a lot better there. One more note on the offensive line before we move on. Not really actually on the offensive line, but I want to shout out Cole Kmet here for stepping up and taking over long snapping duties in the middle of that game. Emergency long snappers.
That was like before the game, I think. The guy got hurt in warmups. I thought.
Was it hurt in warmups? I thought it got hurt on like the first.
I think he snapped. He did all the long snapping for the whole game, I believe.
I'd have to go back and check that, but either way, it doesn't matter. Like the point remains, Cole Kmet takes over long snapping and still scores touchdowns.
Yeah, the guy's a beast. He was awesome.
Guy's an absolute beast. Speaking of beast, how about that defense, dude?
I mean, down a couple of starters in the defensive backfield.
Down to like our 5th cornerback, right?
Yeah, we were
cornerback 1 and then cornerback 5.
But we still, we were getting pressure. We were making Trevor Lawrence make quicker decisions. He's prone to bad ones, as we've seen so far in his NFL career. And yeah, they did a lot of bending. The Tank Bigsby was gashing them pretty early in that game, up the middle and everything. And we saw, I think you really saw they kind of leaned on him more than ETN even. So
well, ETN got hurt, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he was. I think they were still leaning a little bit more towards Bigsby, in the beginning anyway. So, but yeah, they really tighten in that goal line becomes quite the wall when they get their backs up to it. So, pretty impressive. And turnovers. Look, the NFC North. Crazy crazy amount of domination from the NFC North.
On a per game basis, they are all 4 teams in the North are 1 through 4.
Yeah, Green Bay's got 17 takeaways. The Bears have, and Minnesota both have 13, and Detroit has 10. Now the Detroit and Minnesota's got one less game, but they're just it's a tough division. The North is.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, just turnover differential, Green Bay is +9, Bears are +6, Vikings are +4, and the Lions are +6.
Yeah,
just a turnover differential. That's a great way to win games.
Absolutely. It takes some pressure off of your rookie quarterback and put your offense in advantageous situations. So
Yep.
really it cuts into it gives the other team a little bit of demoralization that we like to see.
To go along with that sustained defensive success, we're seeing Caleb Williams continue to progress as well. What's impressed you the most about his development to this point?
I mean, first of all, his decision making. He's not taking as many awful chances as he did in the beginning. Part of that could be situation in the game, playing from ahead rather than playing from behind, trying to make things happen. A little better protection in the pocket.
A lot less hero ball when you're winning.
For sure. But like some of the throws that he made, especially the first drive of the third quarter, he hit Keenan Allen on a 3rd and 8, kind of up the seam where he put it right between the safeties. Real nice throw into a tight window. And then where if you watch the video of it, the defensive backs were doing a little bit of switching up to kind of confuse him, but he recognized it and got it right into the right spot. And then the touchdown to Allen on that same drive, he placed that ball where Allen had to turn and go, but it was away from the defense. It was the only place that Allen could catch it, and it was safe. We're seeing a lot.
I threw it early. I mean, it was on time. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was on time, but like he threw it to the spot instead of to the receiver, which is what you want to see out of your QBs at this point in time, is throw to the spot and let your receiver get it. And it was beautiful play. It's something I didn't fully appreciate watching the game live. It was like, okay, that was a nice throw or whatever, and then you go back and really watch the tape on it, you're like, oh, okay, that was good. That was really good.
Yeah, we see some of that on a pass to Komet down the sideline too, where it's a timing throw. He trusts that his receiver is going to be there, and he's getting the ball out so that it's there at the right moment. And I mean, I don't want this to be a discourse about Justin Fields, whatever, but we didn't see Fields doing that last year, and it could have been coaching that he had through the first few years. But whatever it is, Caleb's growing. If you can see by his passer rating game by game, weeks 1 and 2, he was in the 50s. Week 3, he was up to 80. Week 4, 106. Week 5, 126, and then this week I think he was like 123 passer rating again. So and his efficiency. I don't have his efficiency numbers, the EPA, but it's gone way up. Where he was a little bit negative at the beginning of the year. He's
remind me, and I'll see about trying to get those out and post those up to our Twitter account.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
And then if you think about what he did yesterday, a tweet from Lauren Cox on 6 of his incomplete passes he had yesterday. 3 of them were throwaways. Another one was a batted ball. Another one was that play where the offensive lineman kind of got in his way of the
sidearm. Yeah.
The one bad throw was the interception deep. He just underthrew it. I think he misjudged it and underthrew it. Other than that, on passes where he was trying to make the pass that he did, he was 23 of 24 for like 96% completion percentage, which is about as good as you can get. So,
yeah. All right. Well, it's all good news coming out of this one, with the exception, Kyler Gordon leaves the game with a hamstring injury. Hopefully, he's good coming off the bye, and we can get Jaquan back too. But what are you looking for after the bye week? So we've got a bye this week, and then we have Washington, right?
We've got Washington, and so I'm just looking for them to get a little bit healthy, right? Especially those guys that have been banged up. I don't think we have any serious injuries, which is good. Get those guys that have been a little banged up, the guys that missed this week. Kyler, hopefully, won't be long term. You got a week off. Get rested up. Continue to improve. Work out that early drive stuff. And then this next stretch has some, I'm going to call some must-win games if we want to make the playoffs. I'm talking playoffs at this point. We're 4-2. We're in the top third of the league, of the division, of the NFC or whatever. Now, granted, we've played the 30th through 32nd teams when it comes to defensive efficiency. But coming up after the break, we have Washington at 28. We've got Arizona at 27. We got New England at 25. We should be able to win those games. Washington, not a gimme. That's going to be a tough game, but I hope that coming off of the bye week, we can come out firing. And because that last part of the schedule, we've seen it here. Our schedule is mostly against the NFC North for the last part of the season, and we're in the toughest division in football. I don't think there's any arguing that at this point.
Yeah, we've got 2 non-divisional games, and those are against the Niners and the Seahawks. And I looked at it. 7 of our games are against opponents that are 4-2 or better right now.
Our defense is good enough that they should keep us in games. At least keep us in competitive in games. I don't see us really getting blown out, or that we should get blown out. It'll just, our offense, if they can hold up against some better teams, and we're getting worked up against some lower end teams. I wanted to ask you, your with what you've seen from this team thus far, your preseason pick 9-8. Are you still sticking there, or are you leaning a little more optimistic at this point?
No, I'm staying at 9-8. As encouraging as it is to see the progress that we've made this far, and knowing what our next, even our next 3 games after the bye is going to be like, looking at our defensive ranks and whatnot. Those other games, I mean, we saw Detroit is just destroying teams. And I'm not just talking about score wise and but I mean, they are taking it to teams. I sent you a TikTok or something about the Lions hangover of what happens to teams after they play the Lions, which I still need to check into to see how what that actually looks like.
I checked that stat, and so it's been this year so far. But if you go to like the week 13 of last year, that wasn't sticky prior to week 13. Maybe at the end of the year a little bit, but there's a
Anyway,
lot of things that go on.
I mean, we've got the Lions who look like world beaters right now. You have the Saints that are undefeated or not the Saints, sorry, the Vikings that are undefeated. I saw Saints logo out of the corner of my eye. The Vikings that are undefeated at this point in time. And as much as I hate to say it, the Packers that they're looking better than I anticipated to. You and me keep waiting for the whole Jordan Love thing to fall off a cliff, and to this point, it has not. And with all three of the NFC North teams having a positive turnover, the three other NFC North teams having a positive turnover differential and them taking away the ball as much as possible, like that, those games could get wild. It could come down to defensive scores. I don't know. It's just going to be really, really tough. So I'm staying with my 9-8. I think we're going to be hard pressed to get 7 more wins with our schedule that's left.
Well, 7 more wins would get us to 11.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not moving off my 9-8. Like I think you'd be very hard pressed to get past that. We might steal 1 or 2, but I think we're going to have a hard time getting to that point.
All right. Well, we'll see where we're at after the 3. If somehow we win, if we come 6-3 there, 7-2 would be, outstanding. And we'll see if that changes your mind a little bit. But
we'll see.
I get it. I get it. Those divisional games are going to be tough, but we have a good defense, and who knows with injuries. The Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson. That's a big loss for them.
Yeah. Not just the on-field, but the heart and the leadership that comes with that. Yep.
Right. So, look, next week is a bye week. Maybe I say you and I kind of dissect the rest of the division again, or to see what's going on with the league, what's happening, we'll talk about what we're going to do, but it'll be our chance to catch a breath from the Bears talk per se and kind of just take a look at the league.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, man. So we've dropped the ball on this next part regularly, and I will say, since I'm the one making the agenda most of the time, that I have dropped the ball on this a ridiculous amount of times. Let me get this screen shared up here. So we drafted teams at the beginning of the year, and it was just as a recap. Are you seeing everything right now?
Yep. Yeah, it looks good.
Is okay, cool.
The next part's not going to look good, but
so we each drafted a QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end. We did snake draft, full PPR. The only time there's any in-season roster management is if there's a multi-week injury, which there's been a lot of them this time. If you have to replace a player, it's an extra $5 fee that goes into the pot.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, maybe you should stay up with it. But the losing teams will end up donating to a charity of the winner's choosing. So we already updated week 1 and 2. So as we get into week 3, I had myself a nice week. Justin and Nat, not so much. Then in week 4, I did not have a good week. Nat and Justin had much better weeks coming across that. And this is updated through week 5. This one kills me. So first of all, poor Nat, right? He had only 2 players going last week. Jonathan Taylor's been out, and he hasn't replaced him with anybody at this point. 3 players on bye. He puts up a massive 24.3 points. I'm only got 1 player on bye. I put up 82 points. You got me by 2, and this is what kills me. Almost half of your points came from 1 player.
Yeah.
Just
brutal. That's the way it's gonna go. Look, I'll tell you what. My prediction on Patrick Mahomes and the type of season he was gonna have is so far off base that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's lost his top 2 receivers and his number 1 running back. You know, and they're still winning games.
And his tight end is constantly on a world tour, but
yeah,
that's another.
He started to do things, but
yeah.
So anyway, that brings us up to after week 5. Here is where our total standings are at. I've got myself a okay lead. I'm not going to call it a sizable because I haven't had to deal with the buys and the injuries yet. Nat obviously far behind, but he just took a 24 week because he was missing 4 of 6 players. And you're right there in the thick of things. So, but that's where we're at after week 5, and we'll try to keep updating that and go from there. And let me stop sharing this. All right. And with that, I believe it's time for us to get down into our bad calls.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to go ahead and get yourself all fired up? Oh, take a swig and then get angry.
All right, I don't know if this one's really worth getting too angry over, but my bad.
You get angry over stupid shit.
Yeah, I know, but my bad call of the week goes to the NFL for not flexing Week 8 Bears Commanders to either the late window or the Sunday night game in favor of the Cowboys and 49ers. Look, I know those are national brands, but so are the Bears. And you're looking at the Bears and the Commanders that are both 4-2, both with hot rookie quarterbacks that are meeting or exceeding expectations. And that game, just it's got some appeal that needs to be in a national spotlight. Now, even if you're not going to put it on Sunday night over the Cowboys, who absolutely stink. They look broken at this point. You should have at least put them in that afternoon 3:30 slot. Give them the Tom Brady or Tony Romo treatment.
Yeah, I mean I get it, but I think you said it. The Cowboys Niners, you're talking about such large fan bases.
The Bears might be the most international team that is out there, but
when you've got two big teams as opposed to one big and one not so much, I kind of get it. Now, you do have the draw with the Bears Commanders of number 1, number 2 overall picks, right?
That's what I meant. There's a storyline there.
Yeah.
You got the first 2.
Yeah. Right now the storyline is do the Cowboys fire Mike McCarthy? By that one, but
yeah, like I said, I'm surprised that Jerry Jones didn't try to kidnap Ben Johnson last night.
Right.
after Ben Johnson unloaded the
dude, how embarrassing was that? Not only was the score so bad, but they were like, you know what? Let's try on multiple times to use our offensive linemen as receiving weapons.
Oh man, it was hilarious.
We're beating you so bad. I'm gonna line Taylor Decker out and at receiver. Like, just
it was
hilarious.
It was entertaining. It was entertaining at least.
So, my bad call goes to the NFL. Thursday night football, Niners Seahawks. Correct me if I'm off on this because my brain's not fully functional today. The Seahawks punt to the Niners. It touches a Niners player. The Seahawks recover. The Niners challenge, if I remember correctly, the Niners challenge saying that it was like kick catch interference or something like that. Or there was kick catch interference called.
It's the opposite. The Niners were kicking to the Seahawks.
Okay, Niners kicking to the Seahawks. Either way, what it comes down to is the broadcast was on Prime, and the cameras that they were using clearly showed that the call was wrong. The NFL, though, when they looked at it, couldn't see that same view. Amazon Prime had better cameras and camera angles than what the NFL is using for officiating replays or calls. There is a problem with that. It is 100% more important for the NFL to get these calls right than anything else. The outcome of these games, the integrity of the games, especially when you take a look at, their gambling policy or, that they have with their players, because you want to protect your integrity of the game. Yet your camera capabilities for replay can't keep up with your broadcast partners. The cameras are clearly available. You can get the same feed that we can get. Why are they not using them? That is mind-boggling to me.
It's crazy. I don't understand why they don't have access to those cameras. They make the rest of the paying public, the fans, have another service to watch the game, and you're telling me they don't have access for the referees to? That is the biggest bullshit I've ever heard of.
Yep. Yeah. And again, you're talking about game outcomes at that point, because that's a potentially huge. I mean, it's a momentum swing, massive momentum swing at that point in time. Just ridiculous. So that one's for me. The NFL. You've got so much money available to you. The camera feeds are clearly available to you. Get it right. Just get it right. But
somebody is watching. Somebody in the league office is watching it on Amazon. Yep. So when they see that no, you're wrong. Make the change. It's just.
Yeah. Hopefully that gets fixed. Like.
I'm certain it's not going to happen again.
I have seen booth assistants like 2 or 3 times this weekend where they've gone, nope, you got that call wrong. Like, great, start getting involved in it now. The more scrutiny that falls upon some of these replay capabilities and that sort of thing, the better. But yeah, so that's my bad call of the week. NFL, fix it, get it right. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, final thoughts, buddy. What do you got for us?
Oh, and in this bye week, we get a little break from the Bears, but I'm not really ready for the break from the Bears. I kind of wish the bye was like 2 weeks further down the line here, but it is what it is. The schedule makers with the wacky schedule we got this year.
Listen, I'm with you. It'd be really nice just looking at the schedule to have the bye week a week or two before we get into our divisional games, because that's going to be a tough stretch. But I also get it. We just played in London. Maybe having a bye week is not a terrible thing.
You got to do the bye after the London game. I don't kind of complaining that we were in London, but whatever.
All right, buddy. That's it for me. Thank you, everybody that stuck around this long. As always, we truly, truly appreciate you for putting up with our dumbass takes and that sort of thing. But make sure you hit that like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is. And then until next time, try to avoid making another bad call.